Welcome back to Stock Explorers. Today, we're jumping right into Novavax.
Yeah, there's been some important news that investors definitely need on their radar.
Exactly. Specifically, this development from April 23, 2025, Novavax announced the FDA formally requested something called a post-marketing commitment, a PMC for their COVID-19 vaccine, BLA.
Right, the biologics license application. So
Yeah.
not quite an approval yet, but... Well, let's break down what this PMC actually means.
Okay, so what is a post-marketing commitment in the FDA's world, especially for vaccines?
So think of it like this. It's a formal agreement, but it's voluntary on Novavax's part. They're committing to gather more clinical data after the vaccine potentially gets the green light.
Voluntary. That sounds different from something mandatory.
It is. That's the key distinction. A post-marketing requirement, a PMR, that's something the FDA mandates. A PMC is something the company agrees to do.
So as someone watching Novavax, maybe thinking about investing, how should you read into the FDA asking for a voluntary commitment like this?
You know, it can often be seen, maybe counterintuitively, as a somewhat positive sign.
Positive. How so?
Well, it suggests the FDA is looking at the application pretty favorably overall. They likely see it as approvable, but they just want a bit more data to be completely sure.
Okay.
If they had really fundamental problems with the data or the vaccine itself, you might expect a different response, perhaps a more stringent requirement or even an outright rejection discussion.
Got it. And this news came after the FDA missed its own deadline, right? The PDUFA date.
That's right. The target action date was April 1st, 2025, and that passed without a decision. So this PMC request, it kind of fits into that timeline.
So the delay maybe gave them time to pinpoint what extra data they wanted.
Exactly. It points to a thorough review, and this request is likely the outcome of that deeper dive. Novavax, for their part, they're saying they still believe the vaccine is approvable.
And they're planning to work on this quickly.
Yeah, they've said they'll work expeditiously to address the FDA's request. So they seem committed to getting this done.
All right, let's zoom out then. Let's say Novavax provides the data, satisfies the FDA, and gets full approval.
Yeah.
What happens then? How does that change the whole COVID vaccine picture?
Oh, it could have some pretty significant effects. First off, you'd immediately have more competition and, crucially, more choice.
Because right now it's mostly the mRNA vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna.
Predominantly, yes. Novavax offers something different, a protein-based vaccine. That's a major distinction.
And that difference matters to people.
Absolutely. You've got individuals who might be hesitant about mRNA technology for, various reasons, or people with specific allergies like to PEG, which is in some mRNA vaccines.
So Novavax becomes a real alternative for them.
Precisely. It opens up an option that maybe wasn't there for them before or wasn't fully approved like this would be.
What about side effects? I remember hearing discussions about Novavax potentially having fewer issues right after the shot.
Yeah, that's the whole reactogenicity conversation. There was the Shield Utah study, which was interesting because it compared Novavax directly to an mRNA vaccine in a real-world setting.
And what did that study suggest?
It suggested that the Novavax shot resulted in fewer short-term side effects, and the ones people did experience tended to be less severe.
Fewer and less severe.
Yeah.
That could definitely sway someone deciding on a booster, couldn't it?
You'd think so. People in the study reported fewer systemic things like fever or fatigue, and generally less disruption, less time off work, that sort of thing. So yeah, if you had a rough time with the previous booster and were thinking of skipping the next one, maybe a vaccine with potentially lower reactogenicity, like Novavax seems to show, could bring you back in.
Which could mean higher vaccination rates overall and obviously more uptake for Novavax.
That's the potential, yes. It could certainly carve out a niche, maybe even a substantial one.
So if Novavax does gain traction, what does that mean for Pfizer and Moderna's dominance in the market?
Well, you'd have to expect some impact on market share. It's just logical. If Novavax is seen as, say, a better tolerated option, especially for boosters down the line, some people might switch.
Leading to more competitive pressure.
Definitely. It could put pressure on everyone regarding pricing, access, even how they message the benefits and risks of their own vaccines. It just adds another major player to the mix.
And what about the public health side? How would agencies like the CDC or FDA handle another approved option?
It gives them more flexibility, potentially. Having another approved vaccine, especially one with a different profile, might allow for more tailored recommendations.
Like suggesting certain vaccines for certain groups.
Possibly. If long-term data continues to support a different safety or tolerability profile for Novavax, you could imagine CDC or FDA guidance evolving to reflect that, offering more nuanced choices.
But just to be crystal clear, Novavax getting approved wouldn't push the other vaccines out, would it?
No, absolutely not. All the main vaccines, including the mRNA ones and the Novavax version already available under emergency use authorization, they've all been updated for current variants. They'd all remain available options.
Okay.
What it might do, though, is increase the focus on comparing the long-term data, safety, efficacy across all the platforms. More data, more comparisons.
Let's circle back to what makes Novavax distinct. You said protein-based. Can you unpack that a bit more for investors trying to understand the technology?
Sure. Novavax is really the main company offering this type of COVID vaccine. Instead of using mRNA to tell your cells to make the spike protein, Novavax basically creates the spike protein in a lab, purifies it, and then includes that in the vaccine.
So it's delivering the protein directly.
Exactly. And this protein subunit approach, it's a very traditional way to make vaccines. Think about vaccines for things like hepatitis B or whooping cough. There's decades of experience and safety data with this kind of technology.
That familiarity might appeal to some people.
It could. Plus, they have their special ingredient, the matrix-M adjuvant.
Right, the adjuvant. What did that do?
So an adjuvant is something added to a vaccine to help boost the immune response. Matrix-M comes from a tree bark extract, actually.
Interesting.
And studies show it really ramps up the production of antibodies and helps create a strong immune response. Importantly, it seems to do this while maintaining a pretty good safety profile itself, likely contributing to that lower reactogenicity we talked about.
Okay, that clarifies the tech side. Let's shift gears quickly to the financials. If Novavax gets this BLA approval, what does that mean for their bottom line?
Well, it could be quite significant. Novavax does have cash on hand, partly thanks to a big partnership they have with Sanofi.
Ah, yes, the Sanofi deal.
Right. That deal included an upfront payment, but also potential future payments based on hitting certain milestones. And one key milestone is
Full FDA approval of the BLA.
you got it. Approval is tied to a potential $175 million milestone payment from Sanofi.
Well, $175 million. That's not insignificant.
Not at all. It would be a direct boost to their finances, obviously, but also likely a big boost to market confidence. It validates the product in a major way.
So, lots riding on this BLA decision then. How are analysts generally viewing Novavax right now?
It's pretty mixed, to be honest. You see a range of ratings and price targets out there. Some see the opportunity, especially with the differentiated product and the potential Sanofi milestone.
While others might be focusing on the competition or the path of profitability.
Exactly. There are clearly risks involved as well, but everyone agrees this BLA approval is probably the single biggest catalyst on the horizon for the company. It could really change their trajectory.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway for you as someone exploring stocks like Novavax?
The key thing to watch is this FDA interaction. The PMC request isn't a no, but it's not a yes yet either. It means the ball is in Novavax's court to provide that extra data. Full approval is still definitely on the table.
And if that approval comes through, the impact could be widespread, affecting the competitive landscape, giving patients more choice, maybe changing public health approaches slightly.
And providing Novavax with a significant financial and confidence boost via that Sanofi milestone. It really could reshape things.
Absolutely critical factors for you to weigh up if you're considering the pharmaceutical sector.
Yeah.
This has been incredibly insightful. Thank you.
My pleasure. It's a dynamic situation to follow.
Indeed. And for all of you listening, keep these points in mind. Don't forget to subscribe to Stock Explorers, give us a like if you found this helpful, and hit that notification bell so you catch our next deep dive. Thanks for tuning in.